What's up guys, Duarte here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to take a look at the Mutant lane on the Doom Raid number 2. We are going to take a look at the kill order and which characters you have to take control of so you don't wipe on these nodes, because it might seem that this is quite easy using the Astonishing X-Men team, but if you don't pay attention to a few details you can easily wipe here. So like always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. If you don't use any of the characters I use, if you use some different strategy, let me know in the comments below, because I will be curious to know about. Okay, so let's get started, and like I said, there are a few details that we need to pay attention to, otherwise we are going to wipe. It might seem early on that it's going to be very easy because we are facing Ella and Greg, and the Astonishing X-Men get additional turn meter whenever they get rid of an enemy, even if it's a minion. So it might seem that is quite easy, but you need to pay attention to a few characters like a Bishop, Squirrel Girl, the enemy Jubilee, and also Silver Surfer. So you want to get rid, or at least blind as fast as possible, Bishop and then Silver Surfer. And the other priority targets that you have to focus on is Squirrel Girl. You want to stun her as fast as possible, and then you want to stun or blind Jubilee. If you do exactly this, you are going to have a very easy time in this node. Otherwise, if you focus on the wrong characters, you might have a very hard time. And the character you want to avoid to give damage to is Hela, but even if you get rid of her, it's not a huge deal. So like I said, you want to focus on Greg to get the turn meter, but at the same time you want to make sure that the Bishop is blinded or stunned. Early on it's preferable just to get rid of him or to blind him, so after you can go after Silver Surfer and Squirrel Girl. As you can see now, I apply the slow and then I go for the stun on Squirrel Girl. You don't want her to remove any of the negative effects from the enemy team. And then, as you saw, I didn't use the ultimate to get the buffs. I decided to first kill one more Greg to get more turn meter, and like this we could get an advantage on Silver Surfer. So now you want to blind the Jubilee to make sure that she doesn't apply the stun and turn rewind to us, and then you can just focus on whichever character you want. You still have to prioritize the Silver Surfer, and then you want to get rid of Squirrel Girl, and then Moondragon and Phyla-Vell. They are not a big deal, so don't worry too much about them. You can even use Phyla-Vell or Moondragon to save the negative effects, so whenever the next wave drops you can use Jubilee special in order to spread all of them. Unfortunately here I was not able to do that, and when we get the next wave we have to do the same thing. Focus on Bishop, make sure he's slowed, blinded, and with the offense down, and then you want to slow Silver Surfer to make sure that he gets it takes as long as possible to get his turn, and then once again you want to blind him. And as you saw, now we got rid of Squirrel Girl, so we don't have to worry more about her. And now you can apply all the negative effects to the different enemies using Moondragon, and now we got rid of Bishop, so it's fairly easy now. We have Silver Surfer with slow and with defense down. Now we stun him to make sure that he doesn't get his turn, and then we just get rid of him, and that's it for the first turn. It's very important that you apply blinds and stuns to the characters I mentioned, otherwise you can easily wipe on this node. Now you're going to take a look at the second node of the Mutant lane. There are a few things that we need to take into consideration here, and I didn't perform exactly perfect on this node, but I'm going to tell you exactly what you have to do in order to have an easy time here. So there are a few things that you need to take into consideration, which is the enemy Emma Frost and all the X-Factor enemies plus Hulk. Hulk by himself, if he has no negative effects on him, he can wipe your entire team even if you have defense up, so keep this in mind. if you don't have him under control, or if you don't have him with negative effects, he will destroy your team. Then, because you are facing X Factor team as enemies, you need to stop them from getting any kind of critical attacks. And how exactly do you do this? You have to apply blinds to them in order to don't make this happen. So what you want to do first is try to apply blind to Shatterstar, then try to apply blind or get rid of Longshot. Longshot should be one of your priority targets, and then you want to apply blind to Polaris. With the other characters, you want to get a stun on Emma Frost, and then she will be no problem. And then you want to get a disrupt, or at least make sure that Miss Marvel doesn't have her taunt. If you don't have to apply disrupt to Miss Marvel, make sure there is a disrupt on Hulk, so he is not able to taunt. This is very, very important, otherwise you'll fail on this node early on, because these enemies can do quite a lot of damage. So I focus on a long shot. I should have focused on Shatterstar first if Jubilee was to assist, but because that's not the case, I decided to go after Longshot. But as you saw, I did too much damage to him, and because of this Miss Marvel taunted, that's fine. But now you can see that they're getting a lot of turn meter and barrier, and you really don't want this to happen, and this is why you want to make sure that you apply the blinds to them. Then you want to focus on Emma Frost. If you use ultimate from Beast, and you need to apply slow to both Hulk and Emma Frost. So if you don't have the ultimate of Iceman, make sure you use the basic to affect as many of those characters as possible, especially Emma Frost. You really need to slow Emma Frost, so after you can slow her down. In this case, it was not necessary for me to do that because I was able to get rid of her. But in case you are not able to get rid of Emma Frost that early, you really need to apply the stun to her, and that will require once again the ultimate from Beast and the slow from Iceman. Okay, so as you can see now, I got Hulk low enough that his taunt didn't activate the 50% HP buff, so he was not able to attack. So for me this is no problem. The other characters, they have both offense down and slow, so they will do reduced damage. So now I just have to make sure that Hulk doesn't do anything funny, and then once again apply the blinds to the X Factor, make sure that they don't do anything funny, and try to get rid of Longshot as fast as possible. He will be your priority target, and then Shatterstar. Polaris is only problematic on the first turn because of the regens you give to your team with the ultimate from Beast. As the second wave drops, once again you want to apply the blind to Polaris. At this point you want to do some splash damage to multiple men so you can take advantage of his dupes, and as soon as you can you want to apply blind to Black Bolt, and then you want to focus on Shatterstar. Shatterstar, he keeps giving barrier to the enemy team, and you don't want to do this. And after that it's just pretty much the same situation. Just make sure your team is not at danger and that you do some splash damage to those clones of multiple men. Okay, so now we got rid of Hulk. We still don't have the blind on Black Bolt. It might not be necessary. As you can see, he already has offense down and slow. Slow because of Iceman. It also reduces the damage of the enemies by 30%, which is a very nice amount. Mr. Sinister is very, very slow, so you can get rid of him pretty easily. And when you get to this point where you have 6 enemies left, you might want to consider stunning multiple men, and this will stop him from doing more clones. This might be necessary because you might get to a point where there are so many clones that after you cannot get rid of the other characters. So pay attention to this and it will be just fine. If you stun multiple men, he will stop doing the clones, so that's a good tip in case you are falling on to the cycle of keeping having multiple clones to get rid of. Okay, so the last long shot is gone. As long as Shatterstar is gone, this second long shot is not a huge problem. Now I get rid of Polaris. We have the second Black Bolt. He has a lot of HP, so you might want to consider putting on auto. Make sure it's auto basic, otherwise you are going to spend the important cooldowns that it will be required for the next turn. And that's pretty much it. There was a few mistakes here, but if you follow exactly what I said in terms of blinding the X Factor team, you'll have no problems. And it especially comes from all the barrier that they get, and that's pretty much it. Now you're going to take a look at the boss node of the mutant line, and there are two ways you can do this node. You can go for getting rid of several enemies on your first shot. Usually this requires 2 shots because, well, like I said before, my characters are all at level 80. But if you do, you can kill a few of the enemies and just leave the rest for the second node, or you can do like I'm going to do on this clip and get all the enemies very low, then wait for the ultimate from Dr. Doom, and then when you start the next attack you'll have all the enemies very low, so that will result in a huge turn advantage for you. So early on in this node, you want to make sure that your enemies have as least positive effects as possible. You want to apply the slows and the offense downs, but you want to do it in a way where you are applying vulnerabilities to Kestrel and to Taskmaster and Corvus Glaive in order to remove the positive effects from them, so they do less damage to you with their offense ups. Here we got stuck behind the enemy Thanos taunt, but that's fine because we can just use this opportunity to get him low enough for that situation I was mentioning, where all the enemies are so low that whenever you start the next turn or the next attempt on this node, you'll have so much turn meter that then the second and the third wave will be a breeze. So now we have Dr. Doom doing his ultimate. As soon as the animation starts, you want to quit the fight and then join back in. This will guarantee that you keep the progress and that none of your characters is dead from Dr. Doom's ability. So here we go for the second shot. I spend a few cores to get more energy. Sometimes it's necessary. And then without healing we just go in, because like I said, so many enemies are so low that we are just going to take advantage of that and get in high value of turn meter and get 1 or 2 turns of advantage from this. Okay, so as you can see, a few enemies on yellow, a few of the enemies on red. A couple of them got back up because of the ultimate from Dr. Doom, but that's fine because we attacked so many that it becomes irrelevant. He can only heal 1 or 2. Now we make sure that we apply the disrupt on Thanos just to make sure that he doesn't taunt again, even that his ability should be on cooldown. And now it's just a process of picking up the characters that are low and wait for the next wave to get the extra enemies. And you don't really need to focus on Dr. Doom. He has no cooldowns because we quit the match, and that's pretty much it. So now you have several Falcons. You want to apply blind as fast as possible to Sharon Carter. You really don't want her to give disrupt to any of your characters. It will be a huge problem for your team. Then you want to take advantage of the Doom bots that will spawn eventually. That will give you extra turn meter. Then you want to apply the slow and get rid of the multiple Falcons. You really don't want this team to have any advantage in terms of turn meter. And this stun is very important on Captain America Sam Wilson, otherwise you'll keep blocking and blocking and you'll not be able to deal any damage, and you'll also be able to provide energy for the enemy team, and you don't want any of that. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting everyone very low, and that will give us once again a lot of turn meter, which will be a huge advantage. We'll have at least 1 extra turn in front of the enemies. We take all the Falcons down before they have any turn and do their ultimate and then the special. The ultimate is not a huge problem because they have the damage reduction from the offense down, from Iceman passive and so on. So as you saw, it barely did anything, but you really don't want them to have additional turns because the special is so problematic. So we got rid of the enemies that were causing us some issues. Now we have to focus on Baron Zemo, make sure he doesn't have the immunity, so you can apply negative effects to him. You can do that with the vulnerabilities or with the with the Beast basic. And then you want to focus on Mary Hill and Baron Zemo. You don't want him to remove your positive effects. And Mary Hill, you can stun her to make sure that she doesn't heal up anyone or calls the minions. If she calls the minions, that's fine. You can double tap them and get extra turn meter, but you really don't want her to be healing up anyone. With the Thanos, because he has the slow and you have the extra turn meter, it's not going to be a huge deal for you. So just focus on the other characters and ignore him until he's the last man standing, and then you can just press auto and finish him off. So yeah guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the mutant lane on the second Doom raid. If you found information on this video helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I'll catch you guys later.